I think we're live. Let's see if we get some comments in here really quick. Let me know when you guys come in. Let me make sure this shit is fucking. Oh yeah, we got people in here. We got first so what's up, guys? We are live with Sean Porter, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about what happened to a strong supporter of the community, Lion One. Nobody believes that she did what they said that she did. As a matter of fact, a lot of folks in this community believe that she was harmed by someone. And so Sean Porter's going to talk a little bit about it all. He knows more than I do. And we're going to try to get the full story. And what the goal for this really is to get the department out there to actually do the investigation that needs to be done and start busting the people that may have done this to her. So Sean Porter, thank you for being here, bro. And first of all, let me just say thank you for all your tremendous work. Nothing but respect for you and the work that you've done. Absolutely love it. Me and my sons always talk about how great your work is. So thank you, bro.
Well, thank you very much for having me, San the Man. It's quite an honor. I remember when I first started covering our lockdown and the way the government was acting inappropriately, and with my little protest sign, you pushed my videos all over the internet, made me popular overnight. I'll never forget that.
Hell yeah, you're very welcome, bro.
So, all right, let me tell you a story. So after around 2022 and a half, this guy, the Rabbit, who had started hanging around and was kind of like a wannabe YouTuber, and he started hanging around with Ron Headland in Virginia and doing protests and making videos. And then Ron introduced him to me. Ron was a friend of mine. He did similar signs and then videotape people, freaking out when they saw him, because it's hilarious to watch people get mad at a piece of cardboard or plastiboard and lose their mind and commit crimes just because they don't like someone else's free speech. I find it entertaining. Well, so he started hanging around, and then he did some protests with us, and he did have a streak where he didn't react well. He went too far all the time, and he kind of had mood swings, so to speak. Well, he ended up going to Easley, South Carolina, I believe in 2023, and he met up with a girl named Andrea, the Lion, and moved in with her. Prior to that, he had no work history that I knew of. He claimed he did landscaping years prior, but I didn't really know him to have had any jobs or do any work. He lived out of his car with his clothes, and apparently his father had kicked him out of his house in Delaware about a year earlier. He'd stayed in my backyard for a few weeks, and we always had fun going out. We made good content together, and he was all right. Well, as he lived with Andrea, he kind of changed. He was real abrupt. He was not really engaging. He was kind of rude. And so I stopped really talking to him, and I only talked to Andrea, who had been a fan of mine since I first started in 2020. And I only got into this inadvertently because of my social activism kept intersecting with cops and crazy HOA people acting inappropriately, and it just kind of happened. Well, she'd always supported me and always been real nice. And so I talked to him, and I guess it was about mid-May, I found out he had gotten married to her. And he didn't tell anybody, and it had been 3 months, and no one knew that they had even gotten married. And they're checking into that right now, the marriage license, to see if it was completed. There's a lot of weird details going on. So anyway, 2 weeks before this incident, he had went to Ron Benghazi's house. That's Ron Headland. And he went with this guy named Don Carney. And the report back that I got was that the Rabbit looked emaciated, and he was acting real quiet and weird, and he wasn't his normal self. And this other guy came off as a druggie. So that's all I knew. So now 4 days before issues happened with Andrea. I got a call from her saying that he was on FetLife and Tinder, claiming that he was single and looking for a long-term relationship on Tinder. And then on FetLife, he posted naked pictures of himself and apparently Andrea without permission. And so it gets really weird. And she's like, "Oh, I'm getting rid of him," and all that stuff. I'm like, "All right, whatever," And I'm like, I hate being involved in domestic stuff. And so Thursday, I'm texting back and forth with her, and she said she was going to get him a Christian counselor and that he had admitted he had a problem. And I was believing it was related to the use of substances. So that's Thursday. Apparently, she had a 3-hour conversation with some guy who's a friend of the rabbit, a lieutenant colonel, who will come back into this story later. And the rabbit got a call from Andrea at 7:30 on Thursday night, and he never bothered to call her back. He didn't talk to her at all until after she left this earth, one way or another. Fast forward the next day, he's working in Charlotte, North Carolina, 100 miles away from his house, and he is saying that he had some kind of a premonition and that he had to get home by 3:30. So what did he do? He finished up work early. He stopped at a grocery store, bought 3 dozen eggs. He stopped at Hobby Lobby and bought arts and crafts to make a mug. He stopped at the post office to get his mail. He returned a wood chipper to a Rentals Unlimited place or whatever rental facility is in the town of Spruce Pine. And then he came home. He didn't text her. He didn't call her. And then what did he do? Did he go and check on his lovely new bride that had made him sleep in another room and told him that she was selling the house and moving to Ohio and he had to leave? No, that's not what happened at all. He doesn't check on her. He goes and takes a shower, shaves off his beard that he'd been growing for years. I think it was 3 years. His hair on his head, and then he changes into clothing. Well, the only problem is the clothing was in the room where Andrea was discovered, and so he would have had to gone back in there to get the clothing before the shower or after the shower and seen her in the condition that he later claims to have found her in. So long story short, this newly bald guy with no facial hair whatsoever somehow magically has magical clothes that the police can confirm did not come from anywhere other than directly next to where she was found. He discovers her and he claims he's doing CPR. He tells me that she's still there, and he calls 911, and all of a sudden, but first the first thing he does, he doesn't call 911 or mess with her. The first thing he does is he takes the pew and he cleans it and he clears it and renders it safe, in his opinion, because he, as he later states, he wanted to make sure he had a safe workspace. And then he apparently does CPR, and he calls around 4:40 p.m. He calls 911, and they come, and at 5:04 they declare her no longer with us. At 5:14 on Andrea's cell phone, he calls his lawyer. So 10 minutes after this issue occurred, he's calling his lawyer on his deceased wife's cell phone. When the police asked where her cell phone was, he said he hadn't seen it, but it was in his pocket with his cell phone. He actually made a call from the scene to Andrea's best friend, but told a different story, saying that she was actually cold when he discovered her, which is the opposite of what he told me when he called me 5 hours later.
When he made that call, did he make it before the police arrived on scene or afterwards?
Afterwards, and it looks like it was a pocket dial, and then she was actually there, and so
wow.
he's like, oh, and he says she's gone, and he's like very nonchalant about it, and then he breaks down in hysterical fake crying is the only way I could describe the phone calls, just acting very bizarre. And then he'd go back to talking normal, then he'd fake cry again, and the police said that it was obvious he was faking it. He refuses to let the police search the house, so he delays them from searching the house for 5 hours while he apparently tampered with the scene, moved Andrea, did all kinds of stuff. Then they come back and they evict him. After they evict him, because her best friend had said that she was talking with me right before the incident, he decides to call me. And as soon as I saw his caller ID show up on my phone, I just started yelling at him because all I knew was about the cheating. And he starts saying, "Oh, no, I never cheated. I didn't go through that. It's just Andrea was being real bi, you know what." And so I was on there, but no, I hadn't done anything yet. Then later on a stream with GS, he admits that he was cheating, but then he says, "Oh, she was okay with the cheating." So his story kept changing. We're going to fast forward here a little bit more. So the next day, after this whole thing happened, the police actually, the next day, this woman, Victoria, I think her name is, or I forget. She's done the panel several times with this GS fella and these other guys, people and whatnot. She is serving pizza to Donald Carney, a man who has a very long history of substances and criminal activities, is in there with Billy, getting pizza, laughing about cleaning up the scene and cleaning the dogs that were covered in what came out of Andrea. I'm trying to give it the G-rated scenario here, but there's no real easy way to say it. So two people at the pizza place overheard all this, and they later contacted police and said that they were terrified. And the one girl, because of Billy's threats, told me she had to go get a protective order against Billy. I believe that just happened 2 weeks ago. Billy has gone around and threatened every single one of us that questioned his story or talked about it with defamation of character lawsuits for us having opinions that he M-worded her, and that there's no way that a girl who was on the phone with her best friend until 3:23 p.m. decided within an hour's time that she was going to somehow end it, let alone using a pew-pew in the manner in which it occurred. Basically, this is a girl that got Botox all the time. The last thing she would do is redecorate her face in the manner that this occurred. It just is not the way it would go down. And it certainly seems odd that it happened on the same day she was kicking the rabbit out, taking his truck from him, cutting him off from the only source of income he had, which was to and steal from her and apparently everybody in the town, according to the police. So that's about where we're at. Is the police are doing their own investigation. They're talking to the family every couple days. I spoke at length with the detective working it. He knows what happened. I know what happened. It's a matter of what could be proven to a jury at this point in time.
Can you give us the detective's name so that we can have it? Do you know it?
Detective Ashley Beam.
Ashley Beam. And what department does she work for?
Yeah. He works for the Mitchell County Sheriff's Office in Mitchell County, North Carolina. I believe it's Bakersville, North Carolina.
All right. So you guys are watching right now. You guys write that name down in the department in the chat if you can, so that we can, continue to put the pressure on. We want them to investigate this correctly.
Yeah. If you could actually call and talk to the elected sheriff. The elected sheriff is the one that needs the fire under his backside, because the autopsy has not even come back yet, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're saying it could take months for it to be the cause of her no longer being with us to be determined. On the birth certificate, it's blank or pending. So they're waiting. And these people have gone on and said, "Oh, no, it says the S word on the death certificate. I saw it." So these people that are all living in her house now, even though they've been told to leave because it's owned by her father's trust, they're squatting in the house, and apparently they're just doing substances and they're getting on the video late at night, ranting and raving, making threats at every single witness. So Ron Headland, a guy who hasn't even done a single live panel, has been threatened. Andrea's father has been threatened. I've been threatened. A young pizza waitress that makes minimum wage has been threatened. Her best friend in Ohio has been threatened. And the funny thing is, like, I don't think they understand. Like, nobody is afraid of these idiots, these homeless people who tried to. Oh, and the first business hour after this event occurred, Billy was contacting Morgan Stanley to try and wipe out her $150,000 trust account, which is her name, and he is not entitled. Sorry, is there a delay?
Yeah, there's a little delay, but well, I'm sure you'll pass through the area.
Yeah, I'm passing CIA right now, and it always gets real weird at this part of the parkway.
Cool, cool. We'll wait till it clears up just a little bit. You guys don't go anywhere. There has been, from what I've seen, some follow-ups regarding this, and it's pretty telling. And I think that the community is coming together, doing very well, and doing the investigation, or at least trying to help with this, because none of us believe that she did this to herself. I have sent emails back and forth with Lion One. There is one thing that I do want to bring up really quick. I don't know if anybody's talked about this, but there was Swamp Fox News. He had gone out there and he had spent some time with them. I do have some pictures. I'll send them all to you as well, and maybe you can help me identify some of the people in the pictures. Maybe some of the guys that we're discussing, maybe they're in the pictures as well. And so I just kind of want to throw that out there. I've tried to get a hold of Swamp Fox News to see if he remembers anything about being out there with them in the area, how some of these people behaved. Haven't been able to get in contact with him. For some reason, I can't even find his channel on YouTube anymore. I don't know if I'm blocked for some reason or what's going on, but I definitely want to get a hold of Swamp Fox News. If anybody else can get a hold of him, shoot him a text or call.
Well, a couple of us are thinking about going down there to door knock, canvas, and see if we could find any other leads. Again, we're waiting on the autopsy. A couple other things are going on that I can't really talk about. The rabbit is held up. He's been told, his lawyer has been notified he's supposed to be out of there. His lawyer said that he was out of there, but he was keeping his stuff there till September 1 if he could have that extra time. And the rabbit, he's still there, even though he claims he moved out physically. And he's got that Don Carney fellow with him, the man who's he made a death threat to me. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Sure. So this Donald Carney guy had been saying, like, I know your address, and I don't want to be the guy I used to be, but you're bringing it out of me, and you should be afraid. And like, I mean, I'm just sitting there like, you sound like you did it. You're making it sound like everything we think happened exactly the way we think it did. Is that you guys are all messed up on substances, and Billy snapped, he did something horrible, and that these people are helping him with it. And they may have even been there when it occurred. We don't know for sure. And, I don't have enough information to speculate.
So the rabbit is still in her house?
Yeah, until he gets arrested for credit card fraud.
Dirty Sanchez wants to know what's the girl's name. Andrea
Matthews.
Andrea Matthews was her name.
Yeah, the Lion One. And Billy started using her emergency credit card that her dad gave her, that's in her name only and the business name only. Billy's not even allowed to use the card. He put over $1,200 worth of purchases over 2 months period of time before accounting caught the fact that her card was being used. Her emergency card was being used for day-to-day expenses by the rabbit while he's attempting to get this money out of her trust. And remember, And he also tried to steal her house. He thought he was going to somehow be able to take the house that's not even in her name. It's in her father's trust name. I mean, you can't make up a clearer motive than what we have here. And all you need is means and opportunity. And he was there. So clearly he had the means and the opportunity. So I don't know why he's not charged yet. Maybe they just want to wait for the autopsy, so it's better to show a grand jury. I'm not certain. I'm not involved in that, but definitely the credit card charges will be going soon for what he did to the credit card, illegally using a credit card. And he has no means to pay it back. He's never had a job. He was doing this tree charity where they were just taking people's donations, and they were faking doing a lot of work. And then they would post online, give us money so we can keep doing all this work. He actually posed in firefighter gear and put everyone in the town into a panic, thinking there was a massive wildfire. And the sheriff apparently had to go and take the firefighter uniforms away from these two guys, Donald Carney and Billy and some guy named Trent, because it was scaring the population into thinking that there was this wildfire going on. And they were just doing it to try to get donations, saying donate money to help fight the wildfires. But the money just goes to Billy and this Carney guy for substances and pizza.
And isn't it illegal for you to use somebody that's passed away, use their credit cards?
Well, it would be illegal even if she was alive because it's her dad's company's credit card. It has nothing to do with even her. Yeah, it was for when she did work on behalf of his car dealership to where he could write off and expense fuel, like for her to run to the store and to do something, to help her dad or whatever, something that could be legitimately expensed by the IRS. But that's not what we have here. What we have here is a person who's deceased, and then the card is still being used by a person that was not entitled to use it even when she was alive. So it's just that much worse.
So for Made in America, she's saying that there's people in here that don't know exactly what happened or who we're talking about. So we're talking about a woman named Lion One. She is a longtime supporter of mine, many folks in the community. She's been very supportive since pretty much day one. I remember her leaving comments and showing support. Once she got with Benghazi Rabbit, I guess that's the channel he went by. What's his real name? Billy what?
William Barthel.
William Barthel. Once she got with him, she wasn't watching as much. I don't know if he was trying to turn her against people of the community or whatnot.
Yes.
And she was actually like, there came a time where she emailed me and she was basically asking for me to support Billy, and so I was like wondering, like, when I hear about all of this, I think to myself, like, maybe she felt sorry for this guy. She was trying to help him along the way. It seemed like she was going out of her way to help him. And it seems like he was going out of his way to possibly cheat on her, and then when she caught on to his games, she was more than likely going to leave him. From my understanding, she had called some folks to maybe even pick her up. That, to me, if you're calling somebody to pick you up, you're not trying to end it yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get out of that situation. You're trying to find a way out. And that's what just seems really odd to me. I don't believe that she would have done this to herself. So,
yeah, it's a horrible situation. She's a sweetheart. She didn't deserve this. And, more needs to be done. But long story short, these guys are now going around threatening the family members of the deceased, threatening the best friends of the deceased, threatening every single person who stands up for Andrea. And by the way, there's a lot more that I can't talk about here, but like everything that we're talking about her getting rid of him and all this stuff, it was all put into writing and the police have all of it. And Billy doesn't even know that.
wow. Stephanie Jenks says, Lion hung up with her friend May 30th at 3:23. Rabbit got home at 3:30. He found her and called 911 at 4:17 after his shower and shave. That doesn't sound like an innocent person, something an innocent person would do, right?
None of this stuff sounds right. There's nothing that he says that makes any sense. The fact he changed the story about she was cold, and then he told me that she was still there, and he could tell she was still there. And when she called the father, he said, "Andrea is gone. I just want to let you know," and that was it. And then
Wow, dude.
he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "She's gone. She's dead."
What the
That's how
fuck?
quick it went. Yeah, it was horrible, and there's nothing he's done right. He was actually begging for money the next day, having a pizza party the next day, posting pictures of him smiling here the next day. 7 days after her demise, he called me and asked if I wanted to do videos about some nonprofit that was scamming people down there or something. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Are you really? That's what you're thinking about right now? Like, I can't even talk to you. Like, this is messed up. But yeah, nothing he said to me made sense. And what's funny is he's threatening people who are calling for an investigation. Like, that shows that you're guilty in my perspective. There's no way you could possibly be saying I'm totally innocent, but if you dare question me, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to come to your house and do horrible things to you. This is going to be a movie one day about how dumb Billy is. I mean, Billy's just been a poser, a wannabe YouTuber. He would do things that were wrong just to get attention because he didn't have a message. He didn't have a goal. He didn't have a focus. He wanted to be a YouTuber. I don't care about being a YouTuber. I care about going after my government. Billy cared about being a YouTuber, and he's just looking for a way to do it. He switched from going after the government for horrible things they were doing in the community to going after honey, growing honeybees, and then he was making soap, and then he was taking care of this hurricane thing when the hurricane happened and trying to be a hurricane hero, and all he was a hurricane zero. He was out there begging for money to help these victims. He lied about seeing people in trees and all this stuff. I talked to the sheriff. He said there was only one person found exposed to where people could see it, and there was nobody in trees. None of the stories he told about the hurricane were true. He lied about martial law. He's a fake. He's a fraud. He's a phony. He's one of these people who would, go somewhere and call the police on themselves just to make a damn video. He's not entertaining. He's just overly aggressive for no reason, and he only does that with people who can't fight back, like police officers and girls. I mean, like, the guy is a bully. I mean, that's all he is. He doesn't stand for anything. And I can't wait to go down there. I'm hoping people like these other guys will want to take a road trip with me and go down and start door knocking. And I just want to make sure everyone in the community that knows Billy doesn't take a phone call from him and say, yeah, come on and bring the camper you stole from your deceased wife and her family, and the truck that you stole from your deceased wife and the family, and come stay in my front yard and let's go do audits or whatever. This guy's just a fraud, but that's what he's going to go to. He was supposed to have left the house yesterday. That was a deadline set by her father's attorneys, and this lawyer said he would have his stuff out by September 1. He just needed more time for that, and that he was no longer living in the house. Well, he's doing videos from the house as recently as last night. So here's what happened. A guy with no money hooks up with a girl, marries her, and then immediately tries to take everything she has, takes her breath away, literally, and not like the Berlin song from the movie Top Gun. I mean, he literally takes her breath away, and then he tries to take away her trust fund from her 2 children, her Ford Ranger truck that daddy bought her camper that daddy bought her, the house that daddy bought her, the Kubota diesel $30,000 utility vehicle that daddy bought her just recently, I might add, like a month before this happened, a utility trailer, all of her worldly possessions. He even held her ashes hostage. The father asked the funeral director if he could just have a little bit of the ashes to come home to her family in Ohio. And the rabbit told the funeral director no, and he would not release them. And then he texted the father, hey, maybe if you had gotten to me sooner and communicated, we could have worked something out, referring to money. And he said, but it's too late now. What do you mean it's too late to FedEx some ashes to Ohio? Was there a time limit? Is there a statute of limitations? I mean, this just happened. He had just picked up the ashes and he was refusing to release any of them. And he's now holding them hostage from the family. And they've got this will. They don't think the signature is, the father doesn't think the signature is hers, but they have to go ahead and verify that. They're going to have to talk to the two witnesses and the attorney who prepared the will. The will is technically deficient because the will states that the real property is supposed to go to Billy. Everything's supposed to go to Billy. Nothing's to go to the two kids. And
Right.
the thing about it is, it says the real property is supposed to go to Billy, but she didn't own any real property, and she would have known that if she read it. She owned no houses. That house was owned by her father's trust, and it had nothing to do with her.
Damn.
So it's super messed up, man, and everybody's pissed off. And we've got this sheriff that seems to be taking his time, but he may just not be telling us stuff. But the autopsy's not done yet, so we don't have a cause of, what transpired. I'm trying not to get censored here. I don't know how to talk censored. As you saw, my channel got deleted. I don't censor myself because F them all. And I'm actually doing better on TikTok. I got 3 million views since last night, exposing our local communist city government refusing to give public records to entitled citizens, violating our state law, and acting like a bunch of commies. So, I can't say I really miss the YouTube constantly giving me grief over my posts. I don't have any problems with TikTok. TikTok, it's like there's nobody there.
And
So,
if anyone of you guys that are watching right now, you're wondering what's going on and why we are talking about this or doing these live streams, why am I doing this live stream? First and foremost, you guys got to understand that Lion One was a true supporter of the First Amendment community. She has been, like I said, a supporter for a long time. I would want you guys to do this for me if something happened to me, for any one of us. And this is the community coming together for one of us, for someone who truly supported all of us, and that's why it's important to do these videos and this live stream and to talk about this stuff. If she truly was, if Andrea truly was red rummed, right? It needs to be properly investigated. They need to be arrested, and definitely, I don't what you just said about this guy Billy. Like Andrea, it doesn't seem like anybody would want to give everything to this new boyfriend or new husband guy instead of giving it to their kids, right? It just doesn't make any sense. There's motive involved in all of it, and I just don't see why the department is lagging on doing the proper investigation. So in reality, I hope that these videos will actually push them to truly investigate this.
well, that's what we're hoping. If you guys want to stand up for justice, call the Mitchell County Sheriff's Office in Mitchell County, North Carolina, and just leave a voicemail for the elected sheriff or the general voicemail box saying that they need to do a better job of investigating Andrea's red rum, because there's nobody that believes that she was into sushi. And, no one believes that happened. No, Billy is trying to propagate that. And remember, the likelihood of a woman using a 9mm, doing what she did to herself, that right there, if you look at the statistics, it's like 0.2%. They use, sleeping pills and things like that, and their wrists, but they don't do the pew pew thing like that at all. So, just to summarize it, Billy is a coward who goes around picking on girls. It's someone needs to stand up for her. The father can't talk. He's got lawyers talking for him in court filings, and he has to stay out of it. So I'm the only one, the next best person to talk about it, and I'm doing this. I get nothing out of this. I went on one channel and they were trying to say I was grief grifting or something, or I was doing it for clout. And that channel gets like maybe 1,000 views per live stream max. And I mean, I got, like I said, I got over 3 million since last night. So I don't need clout. I'm volunteering my time to stand up for a friend of mine. Yes, she was a weird person, and she married a guy who dresses up like an enormous bunny rabbit. So maybe her taste in men isn't the best, but this goes to show you that no good deed goes unpunished. And, we have to stick up for her, and nobody else is. The sheriff's, I think the sheriff may be willing to wait as long as the autopsy, which could take months to come back. In order, basically, there was a deal like there was like a defensive wound on her fingernail, a possible defensive wound. So we don't know. I know what I believe. I also know what I know about Billy's character, and the fact is he's changed his story 10 times a minute. He talks real fast now. He's lost 100 pounds. He looks like he's on something, and he actually made statements that he had previously done. I don't know what I could say on your feed, but previously done something that looks like salt that makes you go completely insane. And the other guy admitted to me that he used to do that, but he was clean for 5 years or something, which I doubt. And then he lied, and he told me that at the scene that they drug tested everybody. And that's not true. And the sheriff said that that's not true. And that's not something that they do. I mean, it's just not done. Why would they drug test? These guys aren't driving. It doesn't make any sense at all. But so he tried to use that as a defense. And then he posts these crazy, threatening, ranting, rambling, no teeth having FaceTime videos threatening everybody. And it seems like he's on a stimulant of one kind or another, certainly nothing that's legal or lawful. And so, basically we got a bunch of substance abusers strung out, held up in a girl's house that they offed, trying to get at all her money. And the father is willing to spend more than the $150,000 that's in the Morgan Stanley account to keep it tied up in the courts forever, and make sure that while the police are doing their investigation, he's not able to then profit from her passing.
Man, I've spoken to several people in the past regarding Benghazi Rabbit, and I gotta say, nobody that has ever worked with him or has seen him has ever really trusted him or considered him a real activist. I personally have never spent any time with him, and I don't remember spending quality time on his videos and seeing, I know I've shared some of his work before, especially when Lion One asked me. At first, I thought that he was the same as Benghazi Rabbit Headland, Ron Benghazi Headland. I thought they were the same guy, but he's not the same guy.
Yeah, I know Ron's the old guy that would wear the cowboy hat in videos with me.
Right.
I've done a lot more videos with Ron than with the Rabbit. But when Ron's channel was taken down for him speaking the truth too often, he didn't really want to mess with setting up another channel. Because, I mean, he's like 66, 65 now. He doesn't really care. So the Rabbit then just called it the Benghazi Rabbit, and he would post some of Ron's stuff on there from time to time. Well, after Ron talked about the bad appearance and what he looked like in Virginia 2 weeks prior to the incident, he actually changed the name to just the White Rabbit and took Benghazi off of it because he was so mad. And then he sent a 2-page threatening text message to Ron Benghazi, saying he's defaming him and talking about, and this guy talks about Jesus all the time. He's never been religious. Now all of a sudden he's saying, I'm standing on the rock of Jesus, pulling people out of the sea of despair. This is a guy that dresses up in a rabbit suit and lives in the back of his car. I don't know who he's saving, but he sure didn't save Andrea, did he?
Sounds like he's trying to confuse people and make people believe he's some kind of Christian, some kind of good guy. I've seen a lot of people use religion to hide, who they are, and
Anytime someone goes off the deep end with religion with me, I think either A, they're mentally insane, or B, they're trying to con me out of something.
yeah, man, sucks that this is going on, but in reality, I believe that we as a community need to continue to talk about this. We need to continue to put the pressure on the department to truly investigate this properly. So we're hoping that the autopsy report comes back and that they actually do their job, right? Because if it comes back as she didn't do this to herself, then they have to truly investigate this, right?
Well, he's going to be picked up on the credit card charge any day now, anyway. So he used a credit card for 2 months after she passed, and he used it right up until it was cut off by the accounting department at her father's car dealership. So, it's not like he can say, "Oops, I forgot." You forgot for 2 months that she had passed away and never gave you permission because she didn't have the ability to give you permission because it's her father's business card, and the IRS monitors its usage, and it has to be for business purposes only. And you were never allowed to use it, and you were not friends with her father. And even though you married Andrea, you never even really talked to the father, but like once or twice. I mean, he is mentally lost it. The guy is off. He's off his rocker. He's acting like, and he's adopted, and he is acting like Andrea's father should now adopt him. Like, well, Andrea's gone. Maybe I should cling hold to Billy and her 4 dogs that she got. But that's not going to happen. Billy, her father is going to do every legal and lawful thing possible to see justice for her daughter. And if the citizens watching could call in and redress their grievances by leaving voicemails for the Mitchell County Sheriff's Office to get off their backside, put down the donuts, and to actually go and investigate a real crime. You and I both know if we were standing outside with a camera and a sign talking politics that they didn't like, they'd be all over us. But where are they when it really counts?
It seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like Billy is pretty much connecting with channels that hate the idea of a First Amendment auditing community or idea of a community in general. A lot of people that actually hate the community now or talk bad about it. He seems to be aligning himself with some of those characters. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
I don't know. I know the one channel I think you might be alluding to, GS, but I've had nothing but good experiences talking with that guy. He's gotten both sides of the story out, and he's monetized, and it subsidizes his disability from the military. And so the more people talk, the more money he makes. So obviously he wants both sides to just talk and talk and talk. So, but yeah, there's people that make comments that are not friendly to the First Amendment community. I consider myself a political activist, and I use the First Amendment to achieve my goals. And I am very, very, very concerned with my First Amendment civil rights. However, I don't do the camera thing. I'm not going into post office. I've never done any of that. I just use my signs and I talk politics. And when something crazy goes on, I record it and put it on the internet. And lately I've been giving speeches and mooning public officials. So I've done that about 13 times where I've done public speaking and then I've mooned government officials. And people think it's hysterical because that's exactly what politicians deserve to see. But it makes people watch, and then they find out what my political opinions are, and that's just how I market my political opinions without having to have the resources that these crooked, corrupt politicians have by getting bought off by the real estate developers and other, in Washington County, Maryland, and Frederick County, Maryland, the people with the money are the ones that get elected, and the people without any money, their voices get silenced, but not anymore because we have social media, and I can go out there and make a hilarious video where I'm telling jokes and I'm showing my backside to politicians, and I'm getting people interested in the issues, and people pay attention. And I got my entire school board voted out of office for what they did to my son, and now I'm working on the remaining people in county government that were allied with those individuals. I'm working on getting them thrown out of office as well.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no doubt. You've always done great work, and I know that a lot of people that that are kind of connected with the community I know that not everybody labels themselves as an auditor, cop watcher, whatnot. You know, in reality, I learned this one from Susan Bassi. Is we're like journalists, right? So there are laws that protect journalism out there and rights that we have, and I think Sean Porter, you're a great advocate of doing that. And you, like I said, we've all loved your work forever.
Well, if you ever see these poor police officers who make the mistake of not knowing the law and not knowing what our rights are, they live to regret it when they talk to me. They become famous and they get mocked by their coworkers, and then they try extra harder not to make the same mistake with the next guy holding a sign. And I think it's been really good and beneficial to everybody. And they're supposed to have thick skin and be able to take it. So, if they're out there getting shot at by bad guys, they can take a little mouthing off by some idiot with a giant curse word sign. I mean, I think they should be able to handle it. Most of them I run into later on, and they just laugh about it. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, they call the cops on me even when I don't have bad words. You just cannot. These Karens are the real problem, because the Karens call the cops and demand the cops become, feelings enforcement instead of law enforcement. And then the cops get confused and think that that's their job. And, they look ridiculous in the end. But hey, then I get even more exposure than I get from standing on the side of the road, because then a million people watch me that night on the internet.
Yeah, you got to send me your. First of all, I need to get your phone number from Press On, Press Harder.
Sure.
And I definitely want to connect with you as well afterwards. I definitely want to see your TikTok as well. I don't think
it's
I've actually
Sean
seen it.
Porter. If your listeners want to check it out, it's Sean SHAUN Porter PORTER News. It's on TikTok. It's got a picture of my ugly face on the logo for the channel, and then it's just all videos of me just trolling the heck out of people, politicians, and it's some of the dumbest stuff you can ever watch. But I mean, it sure is entertaining.
Yeah, public officials are stupid when it comes to our rights. So, and
for the record, I'm not monetized. Remember that.
Yeah, I don't think you ever were, right? On YouTube, you never cared for that?
I was monetized for a short period of time, but it didn't go to me. It went to my father.
Nice.
I mean, it was only like all of my videos said they were all restricted, they had that little triangle on it where you had limited revenue or whatever. And I was not about to go in and censor any of my words. I just didn't care. So all these people who make decent money on YouTube, I never saw more than a couple hundred, and it didn't go to me anyway. So, and it only lasted a year, and then they took me down and they said people didn't enjoy my content. And then a few months after that, during the election, I was criticizing a government attorney, Kevin Karpinski, and they took my whole channel down. They just deleted it.
Damn.
Yep.
Sounds like that guy had some kind of connections with Google.
I think Google is a bunch of statists that will kowtow and do whatever the government wants, because they think the government is always right and the citizens should just be quiet and take it.
Yep.
By the way, nice shirt, man. I remember sailing the seas of cheese. Jerry was a race car driver. But Billy's song is "My Name Is Mud," for sure.
No doubt. My son took me to a Primus concert, San Joaquin Jr., the other day, and he bought me a hat and a shirt, and I had never seen him before, and it was pretty badass. So it was fun.
Oh, they're good. They got a lot. Their songs got a lot of bass to it.
Hell yeah, Les Claypool.
Yep.
So Lion One, man, I definitely miss her comments. I definitely miss her in general. She was a happy person from what I've seen. I never seen her, depressed or down. She always looked positive. And it's sad that we're having to do these videos, but I think that they need to continue to be. We need to continue to bring this up. If Billy did this to her, then I believe Billy needs to be locked up. You don't come into the community and hurt the community. We try to build a community, try to hold government accountable. And it seems to me for some reason that this guy never really had great intentions. He was not a real activist. of any kind. He just kind of seemed like he wanted to become some kind of famous YouTuber, dressing up. I seen him doing some of the exact same things that you were doing, so his work was not genuine. He didn't think of it, himself. He's kind of followed through, and then he took the Benghazi headlands, Ron Benghazi headlands name, and put it on his channel. It almost seemed like he was just trying to take away from everyone, and I don't know. That's just my opinion on what I see. I could be wrong, but
When he stayed at my house with Andrea one time, and they would camp out with their camper in my backyard. One time he stole my shirt, and then Andrea found out he stole my shirt, and she ordered me the same shirt to kind of cover up for him. And the next thing you know, he was doing videos smoking cigars. Like I smoke cigars, okay? So I smoke cigars in a lot of my videos. So then he was doing videos wearing my shirt, and he started smoking cigars.
what the hell?
Dude, it was creepy. It was like single white female. It was a shirt that said, eat pussy, it's organic. It's like a joke shirt. And I wore it to like a school board meeting. And, just to get everyone all riled the heck up. And, yeah, I mean, it was the creepiest thing ever, man. Creepy.
Yeah, just
So, well, I got to jump off here. I'm in D.C. with my girlfriend. She's been sitting in the seat next to me,
Hello.
having to listen to me talk about, this idiot rabbit guy who's a loser, a wannabe, a punk, a coward, a guy who won't just confess, and of course this Donald Carney guy, his partner in crime. They're just horrible people. They're threatening everybody, and nobody is responding to their threats other than, what Billy and Carney have done can be prosecuted as a crime in Maryland with some of the threats that he sent me to my phone and what have you. So I don't think he understands what he does, but he can keep running his mouth. I'll just go charge his ass in Maryland and let him deal with a court date up here, get a warrant, get pulled over down there, get extradited up to here. I mean, you want to go around threatening to come to people's house and do them bodily harm and stuff. Why a real person would just go ahead and do it, and I don't lose a bit of sleep over anything like that. Every day I wake up looking for an opportunity to defend myself without going to jail. And I would love for Billy to come up and give me that opportunity, or his partner, Donald Carney, the guy with no teeth because he smoked meth too much or what have you. But, they should come up. They know exactly where I live. They can come and end me anytime they want. I'm ready for it. These guys, I don't think they understand how mad everybody is at what they did by taking Andrea away. They're trying to talk crap and say she was a drunk and she was crazy and all this stuff. Well, okay, I'll give her that she was crazy because she married a dude who dresses up like a bunny rabbit who's a total loser. But beyond that, she was never suicidal, and I think that the whole thing that happened is horrible, and I hope you can get some publicity on this, sir, and I hope you have a great day.
Sean Porter, it was an honor. Thank you for coming on and talking about this. I'd like to have you on again in the future, and I'll try to be a little bit more organized while doing this. I'll try to keep up with the story because I have heard a lot of developments, and so I'll definitely take notes. And we're going to have to do another live stream regarding all of this in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. God bless.
All right, God bless, bro. You guys, let's keep Andrea's story alive. Let's make sure that this agency investigates this properly. I could be wrong, but for some reason it feels like if Billy did have some kind of relationship with the agency or the department or the a sheriff or anybody out there, is it possible that they're trying to cover up for him? If that's the case, then we need to truly highlight that as well. I don't know if that's going on, but if they have evidence and they're not investigating this properly. Look, how many times have you guys watched Cold Case Files, and you guys see on Cold Case Files that family members or friends 20 years later are saying things like, the cops, they didn't investigate this properly. I've had to call them, once a year, or once every 6 months, or once every 3 months to remind them to keep the investigation alive, to ask questions. And it's just, yeah, I don't know what's going on with this agency. It doesn't seem like Andrea would have done this to herself. and none of us believe that. And I'll say this, okay? I was a little reluctant to doing the live streams regarding this at first, and then I did watch some live streams, one on Jersey Watcher, Rogue Nation. The Rogue Nation live stream regarding this was really good, by the way, and it opened my eyes to a lot. And I don't believe that Andrea did this to herself. And Billy, I'm pretty sure you're going to be watching this. If you're not watching this right now, if you did it, man, just confess. Just confess. I think if you do confess, this community would probably gain a little bit of respect, for you confessing and doing the right thing. None of us believe that Andrea did this. And as a matter of fact, it's fucked up what you did if you did this, because she went out of her way to help you. She was a good person. You can see it all in her face. Her smiles, her support for all of us in the community for a long time. When you got with her, I didn't get many comments from her after a while. I don't know if you had some against me or some against just anybody that she was supporting. Look, man, it's not right. And if you would think if she really did this to herself, you would really want, for the investigation to come out. You wouldn't be looking at all of us who really want answers, as us doing a bad thing. I think even myself, if something were to happen to my wife, I would want, everybody and anybody to investigate this properly. So with that being said, thank you to Sean Porter, and thank you to everyone out there that's talking about this, coming forward with information as well. Just like the girl that worked at that restaurant or that pizza place. There's just a lot of weird shit about this fucking guy Billy, and that's what happens, guys. That's why I'm so protective of the community. I try to help build a community, and when people come spam the community or try to say things and try to, destroy whatever community that we have, let this remind you guys that we are a community, that we are trying to get answers and try to support each other, and justice for Andrea, justice for Lion One. We'll do another live stream regarding this as well. All right, thank you guys.